Hod, we said in our pregame that you expect the unexpected when it comes to the Territorial Cup, and nobody, including either of us, expected a 70-7 win by the Sun Devils to take their fourth consecutive Territorial Cup over the Wildcats. And what a game. We have to start with this offense, because anytime you put up 70 points, that's the first place you look, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I even go to the very, very first play of the game. ASU, and I know I think the players and coaches joked earlier in the Zoom calls post-game that Jaden Daniels always loses the coin toss. Well, guess what? Tonight, it worked quite well. DJ Taylor, who I think was at least 5 yards in the end zone when you feel like that kickoff, maybe even 7 yards. And as we know, in college football, unlike the NFL, if you return a kickoff or touchdown from the end zone, it's still on the box score shows up as 100 yards. Nonetheless, I think that was really, I'm not going to say a shot in the arm because it was the first play of the game, but that definitely motivated both sides of the ball for the Sun Devils like no other. When you start the game 7-0 on the opening kickoff return, it's just a vicious domino effect from there. Sometimes it isn't. But tonight, here in Arizona Stadium, that absolutely was the case. You look at the offense. Finally, we're seeing the balanced offense. 229 yards passing. Jaden Daniels, only 2 incompletions the whole game. I think had a quarterback rating of 290-something. As far as the rushing game, 259 yards rushing. Rashad White, who was named the Bob Moran MVP of the Territorial Cup, 3 touchdowns. You have wide receiver Ricky Paracel scoring his first career touchdown. Tight end Curtis Hodges, a senior, scoring his first ever touchdown. Daniel Nada, the forgotten man in the running back group for Arizona State, scores his first touchdown. Really gets a lot of carries, and a lot of people were wondering like if he was going to even think about transferring out of ASU because he's barely getting any playing time. Well, I think after a game like this, you really don't have to worry about that. And the biggest feel-good story of the night, Jackson He, the first Chinese-born player to play in an FBS game, not only got to play for the first time in being a Chinese-born player, but also to score a touchdown. Had Rashad White actually go out of bounds on a big run on the 2-yard line, so Jackson He could get the touchdown. What a great story! And I think more than anything, the offense did not let their foot off the gas. 21 in the first quarter, 21 in the second quarter, 21 in the third quarter. That's not only a great hand in a Las Vegas casino, that obviously is just an absolutely dominating performance by the offense, an offense that we had a lot of question marks after playing USC and UCLA. And full confession, I know you guys are going to probably look at the preview and then bring it up. Yes, I did say I didn't think any offense, either U of A or ASU, could light up the scoreboard. Boy, was I wrong on one team.
This is something that nobody expected in the entire stadium. Neither of these teams have played to this degree this entire year, and that includes U of A. They've put up some good games. So ASU, just from both sides of the ball, truly dominant performance, and a lot of that came from the defense, didn't it?
What else can you say about this defense, who I think played really well against the LA schools? And I know some of the numbers can be ugly, and obviously it's 2 losses to start this bizarre 2020 season. But tonight, they have forced 7 turnovers by U of A, and U of A also turned over the balls on downs 4 times, which doesn't show up as a turnover. But let's think about 11 possessions by the Wildcats tonight that ended up in ASU's hands one way or another. And what I do like is that the offense finally capitalized on what the defense gave them. Again, not to cry over spilt milk, but you look at the USC game, you look at the UCLA game, that defense really kept ASU in each of those contests, and I don't think the offense really responded in kind, if you will, when those situations happen. Now, yes, Arizona, caliber of opponent, much lesser of a overall talent level than the LA schools. Nobody's going to argue that, but nonetheless, you really can't take away anything, not only from the ASU offense, really capitalizing time and time again, but this ASU defense, a dominant group. And just like we give kudos for the offense, really never letting up, this defense, I think they were actually ticked off that this wasn't a shutout, that they gave a touchdown so late in the first half, and boy, did they show it in the second half. The fact they're able to shut down that, I would say, pretty dangerous running game by U of A with Gary Brightwell. They did have their better quarterback starting tonight, like Grant Gunnell. Didn't matter. Will Plummer came in, I think, sometime in the second half. That really didn't matter either. It really was such a dominant performance by this defense. And what I also loved, like, there's so many young players not only played in garbage / mop-up time, they made plays. Linebacker Caleb Nicola, a freshman, got an interception. Linebacker Jordan Banks, a freshman, also got an interception. I think at some point in the first half, Mark Brand, the football SID for Arizona State, said that 22 players on defense alone already saw time in the first half. And that doesn't only show you how dominating this game was, but also shows you how much valuable experience so many young players got. And like I said, they weren't there just as warm bodies on the field just to see the clock tick to all zeros, but actually out there making plays. I mean, there's really so many positives you can take out of this game. And the beauty of it, Zach, I know those coaches, I'm not going to say are going to rip the defense, but they're really, really going to get on their case and on their you-know-what for not pitching a shutout. But nonetheless, just an amazing, amazing performance by this ASU defense, one of the best that I've seen in my 20 years covering the team.
And part of why the UCLA and USC losses were such great gut checks to ASU fans, because it was unexpected. Nobody... All preseason, fans heard about how great this team was going to be and how perfect and how dynamic the offense. And then those two games were so upsetting for the fans. And then tonight, what a treat. A 70-point performance from the offense and the defense only allowing 7. So for this team, what's next now? Where do they go from here?
Well, I think if nothing else, it proved that this COVID hiatus, again, water under the bridge, I get that. But how much it affected ASU, because I've seen so many fans doubt this team harshly after that loss to UCLA. And they really were starting their season over. I'm not the only one saying that, but you play USC, you offer 3 weeks. By the time you play UCLA, you pretty much haven't played football in a month. So it really was just starting all over against UCLA, and that's how it showed. And ASU still almost pulled that game out. But now that they got into that practice rhythm, now they're playing 2 games in 2 consecutive weeks. And again, I know U of A is not one of the better teams in the Pac-12. I'm not going to try to spin it any other way. But because ASU was in that game rhythm, in that practice rhythm leading up to the game, you saw what they did. So now ASU, barring obviously any COVID episodes on their own part or on their opponent's part, is scheduled to play a 4th game either a week from today on the 18th or Saturday the 19th, most likely at home because they missed 2 home games due to that COVID hiatus, and obviously already played 2 games on the road here tonight in Tucson and obviously in LA against USC to open the season. So Cal or Utah, I'm not going to say probably. I mean, that's too strong of a word in 2020, but there is a fair chance, let's say, that ASU is going to host one of those 2 teams for their what could be the last regular season game. I'm not sure if 2 losses, even if ASU does win next week, would have them into any kind of bowl that's really still out there. For Pac-12, so many bowls have been canceled for so many reasons, but it's definitely important for this team to finish with a good taste in their mouth. And I guess a lot of people are going to come back and say, okay, Hod, well, you just beat U of A 7-7, just shut down the season. Who cares? But no, I think there's still a lot of positives. There's a lot of benefits that ASU can get if they do get to play another game next week. And hopefully it's going to be for them at home, because I don't think this team really should travel on the road again. So that is maybe what ASU can expect, but I think you might see not another dominating performance to this extent. But again, if you're going to see an ASU team that is now going to play its 3rd consecutive game in a row, is not going to have any interruptions in practice or any other disruptions, you're going to see the ASU team a lot of us thought we're going to see before this 2020 season started. And I know a lot of folks are going to look back at this season in a few months, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, oh boy, what could have been. And yes, I mean, I think there's some validity to that. And after you saw what ASU did in the duel in the desert tonight in Tucson, you definitely can feel that definitely is a valid argument. But either way, a dominant performance by ASU, something that Sun Devil fans sorely needed, something to be happy about. And oh boy, did their team give it to them tonight.
Called a dominant win, a rout, but I think the best word to say is devilish for the 70-7 win for the Sun Devils to claim their 4th straight Territorial Cup. We don't know exactly what's happening next week, but for your up-to-the-minute coverage, make sure you keep it locked in to DevilsDigest.com and give us a follow on Twitter at DevilsDigest. For Hod Rabino, I'm Zach Keenan saying goodbye and good night from Tucson.